If you're somebody who's been stuck at the 3 to 5K per month mark in your agency and you're just getting a bit sick and tired of being there, this video is going to be your wake-up call. I'm going to walk through some of the reasons that you'll probably resonate with from my own story, from some of my client stories, about why you're in the position you're in and how you can break through it. And you're going to be quite shocked. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you some real tangible and actionable stuff that you can do straight away in order to overcome the hurdles that are stopping you from breaking through that 5K, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so forth. And the good news is that if you are in that position, believe me, the only way is up. So don't worry if you are in that place where things are seeming to be a bit draggy. Maybe you're happy in the place you are and you're just, you're settled with that income. Maybe you've got no team members, so you don't have anything but profit. You're doing all the work. Maybe you're in that freelancer model, but you're looking to transition into an agency setup where you can focus more of your time on building and growing the agency, acquiring new clients, building your brand, rather than being stuck on the tools and having all of your time absorbed by the client work that you're doing. So let's jump into it. Look, problem number one that I see across all clients, all conversations, just all experience I've had in the last decade in the agency space, when it comes to being stuck at 3 to 5K in revenue, problem number one is lead flow, right? It's obvious, it's what it says on the tin. You're not implementing enough strategies to generate new leads, new book calls, and new proposals that you can give to those book calls if they qualify to become a client. So how do you fix that? And I remember myself, look, when I first started, my strategies were not inconsistent. They didn't exist. I didn't know what I was doing. So it was completely normal to be in a position where I didn't know where my next deal was going to come from. One of the things that I did was I tried everything. So I tried cold calling. I remember very vividly, I'm going to go after the automotive industry. I'm going to go after people who sell cars. Cars are worth a lot of money, right? So there must be some money in them. And I started cold calling. So I remember the anxiety just flowing through my veins. And I dialed up off Google 4 car garages. And by the third call, first 2 calls didn't get anywhere, didn't get past the gatekeeper, tried to ask for the owner. I followed this, this bogus strategy that I found online. And the third call, I managed to, after about 3 minutes of waiting to get the owner on the call, there were a local garage close to me as well. I thought that would play into my advantage. The guy told me, look, you're a hypocrite. And this really set me on the right path. And I'm really grateful for this guy. I even drive past that place now. And I think, wow, this guy doesn't know the impact he had on where I went after that call. But he was like, you're a hypocrite. How can you be selling social media advertising, social media strategies, and your strategy to get new clients is cold calling, right? And then he also went on to say, how can you try and show me that your time's valuable if all you do, in my opinion, is sit there dialing up people who don't know you and trying to convince them to buy your service? He's like, that doesn't sound like an attraction-based marketing campaign. It sounds just like cold, hard dialing, right? And that was probably my last cold call ever. Now, that's not to say cold calling doesn't work. I've got clients in my community, agencies that are phenomenal at it. They've grown up in it. They've had a job where they did it $300 a day, and they have that as a skill set that they can still leverage to this day. They can train others. Shout out Danny and Lee from In the Eye Media. These guys have built a sales floor, and cold calling and appointment setting off cold calls is one of their really go-to strategies. So it does work. However, it's not what I recommend. And it comes back to that attraction system that I'm talking about. If you want to generate high quality opportunities, and this ties into point number 2, by the way, which is low paying clients. For that 3 to 5K, I guarantee you're probably not charging even market rate for what the services that you're providing are worth in the industry right now. So in order to fix this lead generation problem, there's so many ways to generate leads. Just give you an overview. You could run paid ads. If you don't have the budget for paid ads, find the budget, right? When I first started, I got a loan to start my first agency. You can find money out there and you can invest it in your business. So I got a loan, an interest-free loan through the Prince's Trust. These guys had an application program. I went through it. I pitched the business. They gave me 4K to start up. And I didn't use any of it on ads. I wish I did back then. It would have been a lot quicker and a lot easier to scale and grow. But if you don't have the budget for ads and you don't have any external funding, you've got to go to your outreach processes. Now, there's 2 main areas that you want to do outreach. There's cold outreach, when it comes to social media platforms. So that could be on Instagram, for example, it could be on LinkedIn. And then there's also cold outreach in the inbox, which is using platforms like instantly.ai to mass send out emails to a scraped list of data, which, another good platform for that is D7 Lead Finder. If you're struggling to find leads, you can find industry specific leads from the site D7 Lead Finder. I'll drop it in the comments below. No affiliate, it's just a great platform. Very cheap, 20 quid a month, something like that. And you can just go and get so much data that you can outreach through email. But you have to get really sharp and put your attention on this process. So I recently just had a client that I'm working with who owns multiple dental practices. And one thing that they're suffering from is their marketing campaigns. We fixed that. Second thing that they're suffering with is actually converting those appointments into the dental practices. So getting people from lead into the actual practice. Now, cold outreach, the right script, the right hook, the right Loom video, whatever the method is that you want to use. There's tons of videos on my YouTube channel. Go and have a look. There's a few strategies on there. If you want a new one, just let me know in the comments. Happy to put a Loom strategy outreach script and show you guys how that works on the channel. But whatever your thing is, whatever route you take, you then go and get book calls. Now, what happens alongside this is equally as important as the action of doing that strategy itself of outreaching people. You have to build credibility and social proof alongside your outreach strategy. So we've tested this. If you run cold outreach in the DMs on Instagram to brands that you've targeted based on a data scrape of a specific industry, it's only going to help you. And it sounds so simple, right? But sometimes you just need it spelt out. It's only going to help you if all these social proof things that can build trust ahead of the call, ahead of them replying to the message, are already ticked off. So a bit of content about yourself, about your journey, about your clients, about your success, all of these things is a tick box for them to say, oh, this person is really who they say they are. The second part of that equation is face-to-camera content. Oh, okay, I can actually get to know this person. I can hear their voice. I can get familiar with who you are before I reply to a message or before I book a call. These are so simple. They're infrastructure-based things you can put on your social media strategy and get a home base for it at least. And it's going to massively increase your reply rate and help you generate more leads. Now, all of a sudden, you've got more leads that you can pitch, which comes to problem number 2, which is what are you pitching, right? Most agency owners that I've seen and worked with and spoke with that are doing or are stuck between 3 to 5K per month, they might have lead generation happening in the background and they're generating enough book calls to validate a higher revenue than what they've got. However, the fact of the matter is when they are getting the opportunities and they've got that first impression, they can analyze the business's problems and they can match that with social media services that they offer, whether it's ads, content, funnels, email marketing, whatever your service is, and they blow it. And they blow it because they either mismanage the service delivery in terms of what service would be the right fit. They try and oversell and tell them that they need more than they actually need for where that business is at in their journey. But the worst one and the most common one is to try and secure a deal and just to get it done and just to get that revenue, which believe me, I've been there, years and years ago, we're talking about, you just want to get a deal done. You just want to get paid. You want to fill the fridge. You want to go on holiday. You got things you need to pay for, right? So you undercharge. And you just want to get the deal done so badly. And this is another common problem if you've ever hired sales teams that are commission incentivized by commission, Another problem is they'll just try and get deals done for as cheaply as possible just so they can get their piece of that smaller deal rather than hold out for the right price point and to get the deal done correctly and for the right price point, which means the right profit for your business. So you might be that salesperson problem in your business right now. Maybe you're moving out a bit more of desperation just to get deals done. But ultimately, what does that do? It works you harder because if you're in that 3 to 5K per month mark, unless you're not taking a salary, you might have a job alongside your agency. The fact of the matter is you're not making enough money to hire good talent to take over your service delivery. And That's the most common thing, undercharging. So you get caught in this trap, you get caught in this hamster wheel where you're undercharging, you might be generating leads, but you're undercharging, so you're doing more work than what you're being paid for. That sucks up all your time. Now you have no time for pitching, getting more book calls, and growing the business and brand, creating content, building your own personal brand as well, which is, again, a cornerstone of what my philosophy is. Building an authority brand in the marketing space is up for grabs for anyone. There's so many different angles you can go at with that. Anyway, so lead gen problem, fix that. Number two, you've got making sure you're pitching your offers and your services at the right price point. Sort that. And then you've got the third part of the equation, which is follow-ups, right? So everybody you speak to on the first, second, even the third call may not go ahead with your service. And what a lot of people in this 3 to 5K trap end up doing is that, oh, they weren't interested. Let's just focus on new business. Let's just focus on new leads. The gold is in the people who already know you, your warm audience. So you have to have a solid set of rules for yourself. That means, okay, from the moment they said, no, we're not moving ahead with this right now, and you couldn't overcome those objections, from the moment that happens, okay, in 4 weeks, what's the messaging that I'm going to send to touch base with them, see if anything has changed? In 6 weeks, what's the messaging I'm going to send? And what's the conversation I'm going to have with the person who already knows me, already knows my service, and they told me it wasn't the right time then, so things might have changed? That is your best and easiest place to go and get deals. It's in the follow-ups. Fortune is in the follow-ups. So now all of a sudden, if you can put more attention and energy into your lead gen, if you can put more attention and energy into pitching the right offer at the right price point and having the maturity and patience to hold out for your price point, having the ability to pitch your offer with confidence because you know what it's worth, you know the outcomes it can produce, and you back yourself and the time that you're going to personally give this campaign, again, which is a big advantage for you. If you're a 3 to 5K per month agency, you're probably yourself, maybe one other max, and that means you're going to be able to give that client the attention that a lot of bigger agencies wouldn't be able to give from the founder, from the person running the show, who usually is the best marketer in the business, right? And your lead gen's fixed, you're pitching the right offers, and your follow-up protocols are smashing out re-engagement. We call that database re-engagement. Do those 3 things, and you're going to be able to move the needle incrementally up. Of course, the big question for you is, when do you actually start bringing people in to relieve yourself of service delivery, not of strategy, of service delivery? So you actually being the person in Ads Manager clicking all the tools, that's unscalable. You need to have somebody who can do that with your strategy being set. So that means you might take the sales call, you might make the brief, and you then give the direction to the team on daily spends, targeting, creative. All of the most skilled areas is strategy. And that is probably where you're going to have the most impact, handling sales and strategy if you're stuck in that 3 to 5K per month mark. Now, I've got clients in the Start and Scale Partnership, which is a community I run of agency owners. The mission for that is bringing the best marketers and agency owners together to connect, collaborate, and grow. And in that, I get a really good insight into all of the challenges at different levels. I've got agencies in the community who are doing upwards of 80K per month. I've got others who are doing 40, 50K per month, and then others who are doing 5, 10, 15K and building themselves up to the agency that they want, right? It's not about, oh, every agency owner needs to hit this revenue to feel successful. Everyone has a different version of success for their agency, and you should have too. But before you do any of those 3 steps, you've got to set a target, and you've got to put some emotion behind that target. This is the part that no one really focuses on and speaks about. You've got to put 2 things in there, pain and pleasure. And I've done this throughout my entire career. If I do succeed in doing this, what will this enable me to do, and how will that make me feel? That's number 1. That's the pleasure angle. So if I do break through that 5K per month revenue ceiling that I've got, and I can push myself forwards into generating 10K per month in the next 6 to 8 weeks, what will that give me? What will I be able to do? And tie it into something, right? Whether it's your next investment, you might be looking to invest, build wealth, property, whatever. It could be being able to go on a holiday. It could be being able to treat yourself, your kids. It depends if you're a parent or not, of course, kids you know about. It could be any of those things, but tie it into an actual thing. And when you get there and you've achieved that goal, you don't actually have to follow through and go on that holiday. You can reuse that money, reinvest that money, whatever. And then you've got the pain equation, which is equally as important to this whole thing. If I don't do this, I am going to have to continue with current client roster, which you may love, you may hate, current workload, because I can't bring anyone else in to help make money in the business, current income that you're taking out of the business, right, is going to stay the same, which gives you the lifestyle that you've got, whether you love it or hate it, completely dependent on you. And you've got to see whatever the thing is that made you even click on this video, whatever that pain is, you've got to use that, and you've got to use that emotion that you're feeling when you think about that pain that you're in right now, because it is painful, right? 3 to 5K a month. It limits you, it limits your life, it limits what you're able to do for others, what you're able to do for yourself, future generations. And use that pain and that emotion to make sure it drives you through to action, okay? And always set a deadline for putting more attention into your business and into your agency in these areas. So the deadline is this date, and put a tracker together, right? Go on Google Sheets, track out every single week. This is what I'm focused on. This is what I'm pushing. This is how many outreach messages I need to send. This is how many ads I need to run and what ad spend I need for it. This is how many sales calls I need to do. This is how many proposals I need to get out based on my conversion rate. If you're not tracking your conversion rate, come on. This is business. And I know this is becoming a bit of a rant, but there's layers to this whole thing. And I want to just jump on here today, no edits, no nonsense, and just, if you are stuck at that 3 to 5K per month mark, these are the solutions, these are the steps, but it starts internally. It starts up here. No one's going to do it for you. No one's coming to save you. Trust me, no one's coming to save you. And once you do save yourself, the government will want their pound of flesh as well, right? So you got to either get emotional about this and use it as fuel, or just continue on in the trap, rotating round and around and around, and see where you end up. I can pretty much guarantee you're not going to break through it. You're going to end up where you are, or if not a little bit worse, if you lose a few clients. You know, things happen in life, unfortunately. Look, I hope this helped. If you need a little kick up the butt, I hope this helped give you that. And if you have any questions about any of these strategies that aren't answered in the videos on my channel, just drop them in the comments. I'm going to be putting more of these types of videos. Look, if you found value in this, you know, just straight talk, here's what to do. Let me know in the comments, and I'm going to start doing more, as much as I can really, on this YouTube channel. Shout out to everyone who's already here, the 2K plus subscribers. I know I've been inconsistent, man, but I'm trying to carve out time to nurture and put more energy and build more relationships out of my YouTube community. And I just want to be honest and real with you guys. I just want to see what the problems are, address them, give you some tactical advice that you can go away with and start putting the pieces together to push yourself forwards. Because look, once you do break through those ceilings, life is different, man. You have more options, you have more freedom, and you have just so many more things that you can do which are going to help you grow the business further. Hope it helped. Drop a subscribe if you're new here. Peace out.